This week's episode was insane. There was two equally memorable twists that they decided to drop on us pretty much at the beginning and end of this week's episode. And holy shit, from the reveal of seemingly John Jack being the beast and wanting to take the blame so that Chloe would be safe as he just wanted her not to have to suffer any more than she already has, to then the casual reveal building up with what I thought Chloe was, about to use the world formula to erase a large section. And I mean, even the shadowy creature also agreed to that thought process. And then just so casually, instead, giving it a physical form. Because if you are haunted by something like this, you can't touch it, you can't do anything seemingly unless you have some insane ability. But seemingly by giving it a physical form, as seen by the touch, even someone like Chloe would be able to kill it. And I think that is so fascinating because when you really look at John Jack and Chloe's relationship, it makes a lot of sense that she might have an overall hatred for this creature, given that it's the entire reason that John Jack even suffers as he currently does. And I mean, just, preying on someone who's lonely like herself, it actually makes a lot of sense, even though I wasn't expecting it in the slightest. Like, I didn't think she was an evil person, but when you do have a shadowy demon whispering in your ear for all those years, I mean, even the noblest of souls are gonna eventually be corrupted, or at least that was my thought process until seeing what she's actually planning to do. With probably, I think, one of the most entertaining comedy scenes that I can recall in some time in this show, when our boy storms in there demanding his book back, I was like, okay, this is going to be a very serious plotline, because when you remove the key weapon in saving corrupted souls in a show like this, it's gotta be big, it's gotta be important. But honestly, after the book was stolen, minus some odd remarks, it really hasn't been relevant, but it was something in my mind, right? And I'm sure I'm not alone. And to see her just so casually be like, yeah, the book's around here somewhere, no fight, no argument about it, and the reveal that she just wanted the jewel, and because she couldn't get the jewel out of the book, John Jack put it somewhere. And just to see the reactions and how once again, we have another airhead character, and I'm like, holy, that is perfection. Because there's always been a lot of those, chibi designs, the aesthetic changes, and the goofy moments. But there's something about Core 2 where it feels a lot more organic, and every time they go ridiculous, I honestly find it amusing. Even if I'm not bursting out laughing, I legit think every comedy scene that has been present in Core 2 has been worthwhile in terms of being there. And I've never really hated the comedy in Core 1, but there was a good handful of moments where I was like, it didn't need to be there, and I much would have rathered a more serious moment. But there's something about where the cast is being interacted with this Core that just, it's hard not to get a chuckle, because seriously, thinking about how good this book is for the story and how relevant it is, to have it be taken not for plot reasons, but just because the jewel looked interesting, is incredibly perfection in my opinion. This episode was just like another roller coaster. It feels like every episode of Core 2 is a steady climb. It really does feel like it's taking everything that we've built up in the show, but really cranking it up a notch without trying to take on too much all at the same time. The kind of casual reveal of John Jack I thought was brilliant because clearly him and Noe had a connection, right? There was clearly, especially after last week, he cared for Noe because Noe was giving him a type of connection that he probably never experienced. It's just interesting to see a lot of the reasons probably why Chloe was a lot more distant than maybe she wanted to be, because as she's been building up to this moment, she really needed to make this creature think it was on her side. But the idea of him giving the blood, because Noe can read the memories of the blood that he consumes, right, and getting it through that kind of flashback, very brutal flashback for sure. I mean, you have a drunken father who throws his kid into the wall, you have a mother who just is hoping that the drink will make him pass out for the rest of the night. As you see just what's truly going on, and you have a boy who just cares for her so much and is trying to convince the village otherwise, and at that point when you see pitchforks raised, what are you going to do other than essentially make a deal with the devil in order to hopefully try to put the blame on yourself so she'll be innocent and all that? I thought it was quite fascinating. I mean, I definitely still have some questions about the two's relationship and what all came to pass, but in terms of info dumping, the way they did it so casually with a mechanic that's been established, reading the memories, rather than having John Jack just stand there explaining it, the fact that we got to relive it through Noe as then you build up to an even bigger twist, which I thought is brilliant, because sometimes when you have just twist after twist, you can be like, okay, I don't have time to catch my breath. but by revealing the memory so early into the episode, you're probably thinking, at least I know I was, there's not going to be a bigger twist. Like, sure, every episode most likely is going to have a cliffhanger of some sort. Oh, X character versus X character, because, I mean, we're not done this arc just yet, right? We're still in the thick of it. But then to so casually reveal it after having one of the funnier scenes the show has seen to date, to then reveal her true motivations, while it's not going to be that easy, I just don't see how it could be. At the very least, the build up to it and the payoff of this episode, it's hard not to say this is the best episode of the series to date. And I truly do think every episode of this core so far has been the best episode of this series to date. And I can completely understand why so many people, because I remember even early into Core 1, people were saying, when we get into Core 2, that's going to be your favorite stuff in the show. And I'm like, that's really cool. I mean, I wonder what's so crazy about it. But getting all that buildup, all that characterization, and seeing those simple moments, like, clearly, Noe a little confused, but at the same time, you can see just how much these two have such a great connection together that they're legit worried about the other when they're not around. And even though Noe doesn't always recognize that maybe, Vanitas actually cares about him that much, there's these subtle hints, and just seeing them get serious and wanting to kick some ass and take some names, it's very, very interesting. Like, I was thinking for the past couple of episodes that maybe when these two came back into contact, they would fight, because it seemed like we were building up Noe very much would care about them, and then he would be like, we gotta take them out because they're the beast, they're hurting people. But the reveal that they seemingly haven't hurt anyone, they may have scared and they may have wounded, but they've never killed anyone, was very good in terms of like building it so they don't need to have that confrontation, and we can have something so much bigger all at the same time. Like, you knew something bigger was going to happen other than Chloe. There was no way she was the true endgame for this arc, but I wasn't expecting this. I was expecting Ruthven or someone like that. Like, that seemed a lot more natural. But to see what actually happened, I am so glad that wasn't spoiled for me, because that is absolutely batshit crazy and like the most impressive cliffhanger / twist that this show has delivered so far. And it's crazy to think we're so early into this season, and I am so interested to see what's going to come next, because if this is a taste of what's to come in terms of like twists and turns and craziness that this author can write in, clearly Studio Bones is pouring their everything into, hot damn, we're in for a treat. And I really, really enjoy the storybook aesthetic when they're kind of like explaining these fairy tales and these myths and how things could have been kind of passed down word to mouth after the war with vampires and humans. I love that kind of aesthetic because it just makes it feel a lot more creepy than if it was just in its standard art design. It makes it feel a lot more haunting knowing that, children's fairy tales become reality, and that reality causes so much suffering to innocent bystanders all in the process. Absolutely, I think a 10 out of 10 episode, but, maybe some people say I'm over-exaggerating. I know I love the show, and I know many people love the show as well, but thoughts and feelings, especially if you're fresh to the show, what did you think of the two major twists? And did you see any of them coming? Let me know your feelings. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.